بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another of our program episodes, The Virtues of Islam, where we have been discussing the beliefs, the practices, and concepts that come from the religion of Islam. In our last episode, we have been talking about the virtues of Islam when raising children. And we're talking about young children, those that are what's called tufuliya. And we discussed the fact that parents had to prepare the children, and those responsible for raising children had to prepare them to live an Islamic life. And from the side of the one who's raising them, the parents and others, that they should have the qualities of having knowledge and the qualities of being a good example through their actions. And we discussed the last quality, in which we're in that discussion now, the discussion of being merciful to a child. And this is where we left off, that those raising children, parents, grandparents, and guardians, that we must show mercy to young children to be able to communicate the ideas that they will need later on in life to practice Islam correctly. Using kindness and forbearance with a child builds a parent-child relationship that is based upon love. The child feels that love and inclines toward his parents because of it. Furthermore, this allows the child to accept directions and guidance from his parents. However, the commission of violence against small children is a determining factor in their use of violence when they become older. In other words, if you use real bad violence against a child when he's very young, because we discussed that children start to form their personalities at a young age. If we begin to really hit them, strike them with closed hands, strike them across their faces, at a very young age, or at any age, they will come to put that in their own personalities and perhaps use that in their life when raising their children. Likewise, the use of harshness with a child when he is small will cause a child to be alienated from his parents when he is older. This does not mean that sternness should be completely abandoned. Sternness should be used if the use of kindness in giving guidance and direction is unsuccessful. And there are some children that we call hard-headed or stubborn. And so the first step is to correct them, call them to it with kindness. Some children need more. Techniques such as outwardly showing anger in the face. Some parents call it the look. When you look at a child and he realizes this is not your usual happy look, but this is a look that means that they should do what you say immediately. Displaying a frown as a facial expression, raising of the voice, turning away from him, and not speaking to the child are all acceptable manifestations of applying sternness. These techniques could reach the level of striking the child in a way that does not cause agonizing pain and injury when he reaches the age of 10. From the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the hadith, "Marru awladakum bis-salati wa hum abna'a sab'a sinin, wadribuhum 'alayha wa hum abna'a 'ashra sinin, wa farriqu baynahum fi al-madaji'." He said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a translation of which is, order your children to perform the salah when they reach 7 years of age. Begin to teach them the wudu. Begin to teach them the salah. And hit concerning it when they reach the age of 10. Meaning, if they leave making the salah when they're 10, because you began teaching them at 7 years old, and you're teaching them at 8 years old, and you're teaching them at 9 years old, When they reach 10 years old, after all those years of you training them and praying with them, and as they develop self-confidence and they develop better behavior, taking them to the masjid, the boys, taking them to the masjid and having them stand in the salah with the other men. After all of that, when they reach the age of 10, if they leave making the salah, then you strike them in a way that was just mentioned. You're not supposed to hit them ever in the face. You're not supposed to break their skin with a strike, but to strike them across their fanny, if necessary, across the hand, to let them know that this salah is something they can never ever leave. And symbolically, if they leave salah, there is a punishment for doing so. This treatment, implemented in this way, is a means for the child to feel the wrong that he's done, or that he has failed to do something in the way he was required to do it. One more thing. In addition to this, it allows the parents or those who are responsible for the care of the child to examine their own shortcomings in their obligations to the child, or the shortcomings in the way they instruct him that has allowed the child to slip from their hand. Children are due respect. We shouldn't call them stupid or lame brain or be sarcastic with them or cynical with them. Some people like to use the word genius in a cynical way to mean the child is an opposite of a genius. We're not supposed to insult them or demean them, but we're supposed to give them respect that's due to a child. It also shows them how the process of respect goes, how it should be. Therefore, if need be, they can give the child to the care of another. In addition, it allows the parent to see their own shortcomings in the way they instruct him. Why has a child slipped from their hand in their obedience to them? Therefore, if need be, they can give the child to the care of another who's able to be more suitable to teach him. And this happens. Sometimes a person cannot handle their own child and gives them to a near relative, grandmother, or others, and they help raise the child. The possibility was expressed by Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy upon him, who said, he said, our Shaykh, meaning Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah ta'ala, may Allah have mercy upon him, said, if one of the parents abandons teaching their child, which is a command that Allah has made obligatory upon them, that person is a sinner and should not have guardianship over that child. This is the case because no one who has a form of guardianship and neglects to do it should keep it. His hand should be removed from it and replaced by someone who can do the obligatory responsibility toward the child. Or someone should be placed along with that person who can aid him or her in the performance of the responsibility of teaching the child proper morals, manners. This has to be done. What is required in this situation is obedience to Allah and obedience to His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam based upon one's actual ability. This is not an absolute right similar to inheritance that is required by blood relations or marriage, according to succession, which is required whether the inheritor is a sinner or he or she is righteous. So being a parent doesn't give that parent absolute right, no matter what he or she does toward the child, to be the one who absolutely cares for the child. A person must be able to care for the child, must be able to teach the child, must be able to be kind to the child, must be able to protect the child. All these things are necessary. And if they cannot do it, then they should turn that responsibility over to someone who will ensure, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that that is done for the child. Rather, parental guardianship is one in which the guardian, meaning the parent, must be a good example of knowing what is obligatory and applying it in accordance with his actual ability. These aspects of educating and cultivating a child and doing a good job of preparing him for an Islamic life is built upon the beliefs that were brought by the best of creation, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In order that the child's preparation to live according to the virtues of Islam can be built upon his fitrah, the nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed in the child, and that his natural spiritual abilities that Allah placed in him will be developed in accordance with the guidance of Allah in cultivation that is the Quran and the Messenger's Sunnah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Quran and what the Messenger exemplified, what he actually did in the community, what he actually did with the children, how he taught them. Upon this structure, generations that are well-bred, strong, and trustworthy will be able to shoulder the responsibility of this cultivation. You cultivate a child so the child will grow into a young adult. The young adults, because young adults are strong, because they have quick intellect, because they have endurance, which is how they play sports. But sports is not the only thing that the endurance of a young person should be used for. It should be used to shoulder proper responsibility toward the parents when they grow older, and proper responsibility toward the society that they live in, to be good members of it, and proper responsibility to carry out the necessities that the parent left behind when they died. All those things include strength and endurance of young adults. They will also be able to subdue their strength for good and integrity, as well as stay away from evil and indecency. They will be conscious of Allah in secret and conscious of Allah in public. They will work to achieve safety and stability in the two types of happiness, this world and the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يَأْتِيهِ مُؤْمِنًا قَدْ عَمِلَ الصَّالِحَاتِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ دَرَجَاتُ الْأُولَىٰ. But whoever comes to him, meaning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a believer in the oneness of Allah, and has done righteous good deeds, for such are the high ranks in the hereafter. جنة عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها وذلك جزاء من تزكى. Adnin, or Eden, as we say in English, paradise, everlasting gardens, under which rivers flow, wherein they will be able to abide forever. Such is the reward of those who purify themselves by abstaining from all sorts of sin and evil deeds, which Allah has forbidden, by doing all that Allah has ordained. So we're talking about raising small children to be good members of society, raising small children to be good to their parents and to be good in their society, to be good members of their family and good members of their society. And who are we talking about that will be the active member? It is the shab, plural shabab, the young adult, who goes by a number of names. Some call him a teenager, all people call it adolescence. But we're talking about those who have been given the Islamic manner, the Islamic morals, and the values. So when we say value, Islamic value, we're talking about the manners and the morals, the sense of right and wrong, the sense of what's correct, the sense of the real purpose of life. So the people of knowledge describe these values as follows. What are these values? هي مجموعة من المبادئ والقواعد المنظمة للسلوك الإنساني التي يحددها الوحي فقط لتنظيم حياة الإنسان وتنظيم علاقاته بغيره نحو يحقق الغاية من وجوده في هذا العالم على أكمل الوجه. What are these? Islamic values, and in this case, synonymous with morals. are a set of principles and methods whose limits are set exclusively by revelation for the purpose of structuring human life and structuring interaction in a way that completely fulfills its purpose in this worldly life, that completely fulfills the purpose of the human being, his behavior and the way he gets along with others, the way he interacts in a way that fulfills the purpose of being Bani Adam. Islamic values have a special quality, and a number of qualities come from this special quality. Islamic values are Rabbaniyah. They're Rabbaniyah in nature, meaning they come from a Rabb, meaning that they come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The descriptions and applications of these values and morals come from Allah. Therefore, these values and morals have qualities that never leave them, because the values, which are the structure of the morals, the sense of right and wrong, have qualities involved in them that never leave. They are always there. They're not there one day and gone the next. The first one is they originate from revelation, because these values are revealed from by Allah. They are sacred, they are pure, and they contain honor. Inshallah ta'ala, in the next episode, we will continue with this point. I'm Talib Abdullah for the Sharjah Media Corporation. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.